Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Tex. Today's going to be the first episode of Road to 3 Marks for the M4A1 Rev. In my opinion, this tank is not that great. Its stats aren't very good. However, it does make a lot of credits. It's got a low shell cost and a high alpha damage. So those things come together to make it a really good credit maker. For this series, I'm just going to go over some of the good games I had in my 3 Mark session with it, and I'll kind of talk about how to play the tank. So hopefully it's helpful, and here's the first replay. Alright, so this game was on Ghost Town. You can see I'm not top tier, but I'm also not bottom tier. You know, it could be worse, I could be against tier 10s, so I'll take it. On this map, I usually like to take my mediums to the 1-2 line. However, the rev goes only 40 kilometers an hour, which in my opinion is not fast enough to play the 1-2 line effectively, especially if you lose it, because if you lose the 1 line, you have to retreat back to your base through this massive open field. And in my opinion, 40 kilometers an hour is not fast enough to do that. So that's why I chose not to go to the 1 line and instead chose to go to the city. And you'll see I decided to go to D4, D5 behind this building right here. And in my opinion, this is a great early game place because it allows you to get usually one early shot down this road right here. And you'll see me look for that shot in a minute. Now, like I said, I don't think this tank is particularly good in the current game. Right, there's a lot of bad things about it. You know, no armor, long reload, low pen, low DPM. There are a few redeeming qualities, but in my opinion, there's more bad than good with this vehicle. Another problem is its gun misses shots, like just the most ridiculous shots that you'd fully expect to hit. But here's the shots I'm talking about. You can see that this KV-3 is driving right up this road straight from their base. And usually heavy tanks will have low view range coming through here, so you'll be able to outspot him. Like, this guy has not spotted me yet, and you can see here I'm taking an extra long time to aim just to make sure that it goes in, because like I said, this gun is really derpy sometimes and it's quite annoying. You'll see that screw me over a couple times this game, and although it does happen to every tank to some extent, it seems to happen more to this vehicle for some reason. But you know, it is what it is. And at this point, I'm just looking for opportunities. I noticed the T95's coming up the same road that the KV-3 did. However, I'm not really going to bother shooting at him because this tank only has 200 pen. So even if I did hit him, which is unlikely, it almost certainly wouldn't pen. So that's not a risk I'm willing to take. And that's the problem with this kind of vehicle. You know, just the really kind of soft, spongy vehicles with no HP. Excuse me, no armor. This tank does have enough HP to be able to take a few hits, but it doesn't have any armor, so you really have to wait for opportunities to present themselves rather than making plays. And here's the gun handling I'm talking about. Fully aimed, and it just goes right into the dirt. And like I said, that does happen with all tanks in the game, but it seems to happen more often with this vehicle. So it's very annoying. It's not the end of the world, but it is very annoying. And again, I'm just looking for opportunities at this point. Now, you'll notice that my team is actually pushed up across this open area, and that is why I moved up from my position back here to over here, right? If their team had pushed across this area, I would have had shots on them from this position, and I would not have wanted to push up here. However, their team can no longer flank me from the left for the time being. So that's why I moved up this side. Additionally, I noticed that we actually have a lot more tanks on the 1 line than they seem to. Right, we've already killed their 1375, and it looks like it's just an SU-101. So now I don't have to worry about getting shot from the right side, which is great. And because of that, that kind of lets me push up even further. And you'll see I'll push up one more time in a minute. Right now I'm kind of just looking for shots. Again, you have to wait for opportunities to present themselves with this kind of tank, unless you have a really safe play to make. You can see their VK7501K pops up. Kind of an odd play from him going to the 1 line, but you know, it is what it is. I don't have to worry about it because he's not on my team. Here, this KV-3 gives me a free shot into him. And those are the opportunities I'm talking about. You really just have to wait for that kind of thing to happen, which is unfortunate. This tank relies on your team a lot, which is not great. And here, I move up again. from this position, again, I cannot get flanked from the left side, and this building protects me from the right and from artillery. So this is a good position to be in, assuming you have taken the E6, F6 area. Now again, I feel safe moving up, and this time it's because we've taken the one line up to this area. Now, if I pause it for a sec, usually if you push up here too early, they'll have tanks. The enemy team will have tanks right here. They can hit you, and this is a really bad position. But because we've pushed so far up the one line, this is a viable position. However, this I6 decides to come out and get a shot at me, which was probably the right play from him. And you'll see in this little engagement, you get to see the terrible pen of the Rev and the terrible armor at the same time. So this guy puts an HE round right through my side, and I bounce point blank off his side. So he does 530 damage to me, which is unfortunate. Luckily, this tank does have the HP to take those kind of hits. But ideally, HE wouldn't pen you. But this tank does not have armor, so it is what it is. Here's another shot from the gun that I just don't understand. It just happens all the time like that. So that's very annoying. Another miss. And now I don't really have any more shots on the one line. However, I noticed this Leo pushing up. Luckily, this KV3 is covering me from him. The Pershing also decides to push up. You can see they decide to focus the Tiger, which allows me a free shot into the Pershing, getting him out of the game. The Leopard misses me, which is great. And if you look at the map here, you notice that their team has actually pushed back through F6 to E6. Which I notice, and I start to look over there. Excuse me. You can see that though. And for this T95, I don't really bother shooting him in the front because this tank's pen is so low. Even though I am shooting premium ammo with 250 pen, it's still not really viable. So luckily he turns around, and that gives me a shot to his side. And this I6 decides to push me. So this time I do pen his side because I'm shooting gold. And he does not get the shot on me, which is great. The Tiger takes his attention away, and you can see now that he's not looking at me. So I can pop out and get another shot in. Which is exactly what you want to be doing with tanks like this. You just want to pop out, get a shot, and fall back. Now here you can see I'm preparing to run away to my left if this T95 decides to push me. Because I obviously cannot take a T95 one-on-one. Now luckily he doesn't push me. He actually decides to turn around, which in my opinion is a mistake, because that allows me 2 shots into his back. And the reason I think that's a mistake is my friendlies behind him were not his immediate threat. I was his immediate threat, so him turning around actually gets him killed. And at this point, we've pretty much won the game. But as you kind of saw in this replay, this tank, you need to pop out, take a shot, and fall back. It's not a DPM tank. You can't kind of sit in front of enemies. It's a damage trader. So you kind of have to play more safe than other vehicles. And like I said, this is just farming damage for the rest of the game, so I'll speed it up because that's a bit boring. But I get 2 more shots into this Leopard. And then I get to go arty hunting here, which is great. You'll see he appears. And here, I actually take the shot before I was fully aimed in. And the reason I did that is because I was afraid my teammates were going to hit it, or were going to hit the artillery before I did. So in that situation, it's better to just take the shot and hope it hits than to wait too long and not get the shot. And now they just have a Leo left. I'm asking my team not to cap because I need a damage from the mark. The Leo falls off the cliff and does 800 damage to himself. And here I end up getting the last shot. And that was my 6th kill. So that game was 4,500 damage, 400 assisting, and 6 kills. I think this replay kind of showed how to play this tank and how you have to avoid getting hit and shooting the enemies when they're not looking at you. So I hope this was helpful, and let's go take a look at the end plates. Okay, so that was an ace tanker, a high caliber top gun for the 6 kills, and you can see this thing is a very good credit maker. Like I said, 159,000 credits. I got 4.5k damage roughly, 6 kills, 1557 base XP. You can see I kept 100,000 of my credits. Like I'll say it again, this tank is great for credit making. I had 400 assisting damage. That's basically it for the end plates. I hope you found this useful. I hope it kind of represented how to play this tank fairly well. As always, if you have anything to comment or any questions, leave them below and I'll be happy to respond. If you want to help me make more content, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.